What is up, internet world, and welcome back to the channel. Today I bring you the top 5 luxury SUVs of 2020. Coming in at number 5 is the Porsche Macan Base.
So well, and it's just really nice that I have a 911 steering wheel right here at this price point.
I know what you're thinking. You're like, hey, I'm watching a luxury top 5 and a base car is number 1. So of course you can spend money and buy the S and then the GTS, but hey, the base offers so much for the money. I was super impressed with it, and I really believe it deserves to be number 5 on this list. And this is what a base Macan sounds like. So the Macan makes 261 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque out of a 2-liter turbocharged motor, and it's paired together with a 7-speed twin-clutch gearbox. Now, if you've never jumped inside the new Macan, you will probably find it to be a little bit tight. There's not a lot of cargo room in there. It's missing some of the tech on some of the other brands, but when you drive it and you feel all the materials around it, it feels really, really premium. It's probably the most premium German car at the lowest price point, even though when you think Porsche, it's expensive. So when you go into a dealer to look at a Macan, do not let them try and upsell you on all the options. Just buy the base one with maybe 1 or 2 options, and that's going to hold the most value over time. So to me, that's well worth being on this list. Coming in at number 4 is the Cadillac Escalade. The thing is a beast. Listen. This beast makes 682 horsepower and 653 pound-feet of torque out of a 6.2-liter supercharged V8 that's mated with a 10-speed gearbox and weighs 6,500 pounds. But let's go. So you can get it in the regular wheelbase, which is what we tested, or the ESV, which is the extended version. An extended version Escalade V. Now, if you're curious to know how fast the Escalade V is, it goes 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. That's like towing your whole house to 60 miles an hour in 4.5 seconds. That's how big this bus is. You can literally fit probably 14 people in this thing, and they can all sit there and have champagne while you spend your gas money. So this is what Cadillac says. Cadillac targets the Escalade V's primary audience as in their mid-40s, well-educated, and very high earning. If that's you, comment below. Now back to the engine. This motor is hand-built. They take a 2.7-liter supercharger and put it on top of the 6.2-liter, and that's how it makes so much power. But it's the sound that gets me. Listen to this thing again. I feel like I have to duck down. Someone's taking gunshots. Now, the one thing I will say about the V though is when you get on the inside, it feels very similar to the regular Escalade. It does have the 38-inch OLED display, so it looks like a massive screen in front of you. It is curved, and you do have 36 speakers if you choose to buy that option. Now, one of the biggest downsides about the Escalade is, well, its price. It's $40,000 more than the Escalade Sport Platinum. 40 grand's a lot of money. Now I know a supercharger may or may not be worth that, but 40 grand can buy me this. But with how crazy the demand has been for SUVs, especially big monstrous SUVs that you can drive for 1 year give it back to the dealer, and pretty much get all your money back. It's no surprise this thing sold out. Are they still sold out? And probably one of the most disappointing pieces about the V is that there just weren't enough Vs. I had to add my own badging.
Much better.
Coming in at number 3 is the Escalade's introverted brother, the Yukon Denali. So the reality is, if you're going to buy one of these big honkin' SUVs, you're going to want one that is used and can be used and abused. And there's just no better vehicle out there to do that with, but still feel premium than the Tahoe. I mean, Suburban. I mean, Denali. I mean, Yukon. One of the most obvious downfalls of buying a Yukon Denali or even an Escalade is the fact that it's massive. They're big, they're clumsy, they're just not super easy to use in smaller cities. If you live in a really big city, or you live in a really big, what do they call them, farms or something? If you live there, whatever, then you'll realize that it's easy to drive. But if you're like me and you're a city boy, then it's tough. Honestly, I'm kidding, they're amazing. Anybody can jump in and out of them. Honestly, the Denali is probably the best truck. It should honestly be number 1, but it's not. Because coming in number 2 is the Tesla Model X Plaid. Now, we have not driven a Model X Plaid, but we have a Plaid right here. And because of that reason, we have to put it in because it's a monster. I've actually sat in a Model X Plaid, but I have not reviewed one. And I can tell you it is almost the same as that thing, like almost. It's only almost because I feel like I can see everything. And in that thing, I feel a little bit more claustrophobic. It also does have panel gaps as well. It also has crappy exterior build quality, and the interior is pretty much the same as that thing. It's just for families. One of the coolest parts about the X in general is that it doesn't really age. It still looks futuristic, still looks modern, still looks relevant. It doesn't actually look crappy. Like, to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of what this Model S looks like. I would have preferred to actually buy an X Plaid, but I don't need that family vibe. I'm down for party vibe. So for me, this was better. The Model X Plaid rips so hard that if you have all your buddies in it, you're going on a snowboarding trip, you have all your gear on the roof, and you pull up to a Lambo in the summertime, you'll still rip it. But the number one thing that sits on the top of the pyramid is not the fact that it's actually a Plaid or a Model X, the fact that it's a Tesla, and because it has the greatest infrastructure on the planet. No other brand can compete.
Right, okay, all right. Charge station fault, C manual. Charged. How's anybody gonna be committed to an electric car when you've got this BS you gotta deal with?
Yes, there are other SUVs that are EVs that may or may not be in the top 10 list at any given time, but the fact that the Tesla infrastructure is so good is just beyond belief. You get in the car, you press a button, you can see what stations are available, how many chargers are empty, you can pull up to them, charge your car in literally 15 minutes, and that's what makes this thing so great.
Okay, push this button, pull it out, put it in the hole. All right. Hold your card reader near the reader. Gotta get an app on my phone. All right. Okay, so I got the Flow app, and the last time I used the Flow app was when I had an Audi e-tron, which was like 7 months ago, and I forgot my login password. And what's the password? Maybe we should just get this thing towed to Toronto. That'll be faster.
Now, one of the downsides by obviously having an EV, especially on this list, is for battery range. In the wintertime, you actually lose like 20 to 25% worth of range, especially when you get on it. And if you're gonna buy a Plaid, you kind of wanna have that ability to do that. So probably that's tough for those that live in cold states. This is probably more designed for people that live in warmer states. So for you guys, the Model X Plaid should be on your top 5. Coming in at number 1 is very controversial. I would give it a trophy, but it's actually still at the shop getting fixed. And that is the Range Rover full fat. The Range Rover is powered by a 4.4-liter twin-turbocharged V8 sourced from BMW that makes 523 horsepower and 553 pound-feet of torque. It weighs about 6,000 pounds, and the question of the day is, how unreliable is it when it has a BMW engine in it? Well, you have unreliable and somewhat less unreliable. Yeah, that's it. But there's nothing on the road today that looks as beautiful, as elegant, majestic, baller, makes me feel like I have deeper pockets than I actually do than this Range Rover. It is so elegant and beautiful, I just cannot even describe it. You have to actually see it with your own eyes. And when you jump on the inside of the Range Rover, it's in a league of its own. It has no comparison to the Germans. They're sporty, their leathers are hard, and they're just very tight fitted. When you get on the inside of the Range Rover, it's tight fitted, but the materials they use are just sourced differently. It's like they want something specific to actually cater to the luxury market. And it's not even close to an Escalade or anything domestic. That's luxury, but it's luxury from the perspective of just marketing, if that makes any sense. If I'm dressed to the nines and I have the choice of an Escalade, a Range Rover, or a BMW X5M, there's no way I'm getting it in these guys. The Range Rover, I'm grabbing your key, I'm jumping inside, I'm putting the armrest down, and I'm cruising. But like anything else in the world, there is downsides. And obviously we joked about reliability, and it's true, Range Rover absolutely sucks when it comes to reliability. At least their track record for the last 500 years has been that way. Maybe the next 500 years will be different. Maybe not. But the real downside is, like anything else, depreciation. So I hope you guys liked the top 5 luxury SUVs of 2022. I find that this list was a little bit different than what you would expect. You'd probably expect the Range Rover to be number 5, and maybe even number 5 to be number 1. But in our case, we're really talking just about luxury and what draws me to the vehicle in 2022. So we'll catch you on the next one, and as always, don't forget to subscribe.